Hello, and welcome to our daily reflections from St Mary Magdalene with St Martin Church on Friday the 22nd of May. If you haven't already, you may want to read the passages listed on the screen now. Our psalm today talks of God as a great king over all the earth. This metaphor was written at a time of absolute kingship. The king had authority over everything and everyone in his kingdom and answered to nobody. The psalmist makes the point that actually even the great kings and emperors are subject to God, who is ultimately in control of all things. God's control, or God's providence, is seen in our passages in Acts and John. In Acts, we see God's control over the spread of his good news. Paul, having been sent to Corinth, and having been abused, beaten, and imprisoned in other towns in which he has been preaching, is told by God to remain there, under God's protection. When the complaints of Paul's preaching inevitably come, as God promised, he is protected. In John, Jesus is describing God's providence. The disciples don't understand what needs to happen. They don't understand what Jesus is going to do. This is the reason for their total despair at the crucifixion. They will weep and mourn, Jesus says here, but their pain will turn to joy at the resurrection. That joy is joy at the new order of things. As Paul writes in Romans, all things work together for the good of those who love God and called according to his purpose. We can trust, along with the disciples, that God is in control. Our pain will turn to joy. We don't know when, and often we don't understand what God is doing. But the message of the Bible is that we need to trust God, because, as we are assured by the resurrection, we have eternal life in him.